Today, let me see if I can try to turn it down. Okay, much better. It's like, hi everyone, hi guys. Everyone. Okay, now I see myself. Wow, it's been so long since I joined live. I almost forgot how I did it. How have you been, guys? Hi Shannon, hi Tom. Thank you for joining. We've been used to doing the live during the daytime, and so many people told me that like I'm working during the day. Can you do some in the evening time? So that's what I joined tonight. Thank you for joining in wherever you are. I hope you had a wonderful day. I was gone for like almost 2 weeks. So it's great to be home and joining you. And of course, the first thing I do is like saying hello to you. I was in Miami, Florida, and then I was in New York City. So I got to see a bit of the East Coast and Florida. And yeah, I'm hoping that I could move there someday in my lifetime. I'm still stuck in Chicago. I don't know if you guys have seen this kind of news lately. It's so frustrating that Chicago, I don't know, whoever making these decisions, they are catching and release these criminals. So Chicago is becoming increasingly less safe and less safe. It is kind of funny that I have to think about safety being in America. And all these murders and gangs with the guns are being released back into street. So, yep, wish me a luck. So, I miss your vlog, thank you. Hey Paul, good to see you. God bless you too. Good to see you here. I mean, by the way, it's my Patreon. I'm so grateful for my Patreons and also my supporters of my law course. So many happened for the last 2 weeks. I actually have been trying to watch less news, and it helped me with my sanity. But of course, things are changing so fast. I had to catch up with a lot of news. So several things I'm gonna talk about today is, of course, one is North Korea's current status, and two is about Squid Game. I've been receiving so many messages and emails from people telling me what I think about Squid Game, so I had to binge watch it a few days ago, and I have a lot of things to say about it. And after that, yeah, that's it. So and then I'm gonna answer a lot of your questions. So first of all, North Korea, it's even the CNN says it's quite worrisome. It is unbelievable right now. North Korea is a sworn enemies of America, and their capabilities increasing and increasing. And recently, CIA in America, they took their budget out from North Korea and Iran, and because they think that North Korea is not as a big of threat. So it's as we are getting weaker inside the country, and as people are I was also watching yesterday on Netflix the David Chappelle, some stand-up comedians show, because there are so many woke mobs trying to get him canceled. So I had to go on the Netflix to watch his comedy. I actually fell asleep around like 40 minutes after, but it was really interesting. The purpose of comedy is pushing those boundaries, helping us to think about the problem from a different perspective, and that's what comedy is supposed to do. And of course, he's made some remarks that was a bit sensitive to LGBTQ transgender community, so that's why they've been asking him to be canceled. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you to watch it. And then also, of course, North Korea is doing this crazy missile test, and they are openly saying that their main threat is America, and they are going to attack America. And America is so not waking up. They got so many foreign enemies, externally and internally is just utterly divided, and their foreign policy is a complete mess. And Chicago is getting worse and worse when it comes safety-wise. So we need a lot of hope. And after that, oh my gosh. Yeonmi Park don't care. She wants your money. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's interesting. I do believe in freedom of speech, so I like these people. But when you ask questions, you gotta ask a question. You cannot just personally attack them, and that is the thing. It's just utterly surprising to me how mean people can be, and it's mind blowing almost. You know, you never even met me, you never seen me in your lifetime in 1 minute of your day, and you kind of know everything about me, while I don't even know everything about myself. And I am here to engage in any constructive questions. So instead making all those rumors, just tell me what you're curious about, because I'm not gonna be offended, and I'm here to answer any kind of question you might have. So, hey, Saptarshi, good to see you. Means many people believe Kim's regime will collapse automatically if the CCP collapses because CCP is protecting him. What's your take on this? Yeah, for sure. If China goes away, I mean, Chinese Communist Party goes away, North Korea cannot even survive in 1 week. So that's for sure. But the problem is that North Korea becomes a state where it possibly can become too big to fail, right? They're gonna have nuclear weapons, and they already do. And their ultimate goal is being accepted to the international community, having all these nukes. And if America don't stop them, and like America cannot stop China right now because they are too big to fail, North Korea is gonna become one of those states that we cannot have any control over. And it's gonna be a huge mistake for the US, because while still there's a time, we need to step up and fighting against our enemies, because their job is killing all of us. That's North Korean regime's destiny. That's what they're thinking their mission is, killing all Americans. So while North Korea says death to America every single day, the regime develops nukes on that focus, and America doesn't do anything about it. I think that's what's so worrisome. I'm like, we are still fighting about the right pronouns. We are talking about your feelings, while the enemies in China and North Korea coming up with a real plan to destroy America, because this country is a beacon of light. This country stands up for human rights. It stands up for individuality. It stands up for freedom. And that's why these countries cannot let America live. They want to kill America. And why we are doing that, I just cannot imagine the world without America. I cannot imagine that world. I don't want to be in that world. If there's America not there, I don't want to be in that world, because no country has done more for the individual freedom that America has. So it is kind of, I mean, these people, even in this chat, how many people are so utterly lost? And while the enemy is doing everything to destroy us, we are just talking about our feelings. So, Mitchell, as I say, I'm currently reading your book. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Mitchell. Thank you very much. So, Paul, take it. Your mission is deserving of support. Someone who doesn't care wouldn't stick their neck out. Thank you so much, Paul. You're the best. I know, it's just, so D-Man Louis, so wouldn't you believe China is too big to collapse? But what can we do? Like, it is true that China is very big, but it's gonna keep getting bigger, right? If there's a time to stop them, it's now, right? It's not later, not tomorrow, not next year. It's gotta be now. We gotta have a plan. We gotta start combating China, because they are enemy. They are a direct threat to the US. And North Korea, China teams up, it's gonna be World War III again, right? So it's not something that we can avoid. But the battle with China, hopefully it's not gonna be war, but it is inevitable, because democracy and the dictatorship cannot coexist, because they completely believe in different values. It was an interesting fact that I was reading. Do you guys know that non-democratic countries has gone to war with each other? So if there's anybody here for world peace and you hate the war and brutality of the war, then you should support democracy and freedom, because no democratic countries in the recent modern history have gone to war with each other. And that is the only way we can guarantee the safety and peace with the people. But that's why China knows that America is a threat, because they want to making their people slave, and America here as a country believes that individuals deserve rights and give them freedom of speech and First and Second Amendment. So Jimmy, Yeonmi is giving the chores on education. Well, I mean, I've been just so hurt. But, you know, anybody who tried to do something in the world gets accusation. It's almost a badge of honor, right? If I'm not effective, I'm sure none of these trolls would come here and wasting their time. So one thing that I learned from Trump is that, you know, the opposite, I mean, there people say, right, the opposite of love is not hate, actually indifference. So the fact that they show up and they bother even to harass me shows that they care about me in some ways. You know, I'm like so used to looking at the bright side no matter what. So even though it just cuts my heart into pieces whenever I'm dealing with these hurtful people, I still hope to see the bright side and deal with it. But it's okay. So Bryant, if you can watch Dark Side of the Ring Collision in Korea episode, would love to get your perspective on it. So if you can watch Dark Side of the Ring Collision in Korea, I'm gonna take the picture. I haven't watched it. I would love to soon talk about the Squid Game, but let's answer more questions here. So Jimmy, I think we're about to find out that it was China most of all that rigged the US election. I don't know who did it, how much it happened, but what is the most important is that the people's confidence in election is going down, right? So then that should be making all of us worry. That should be worrying us all. So Brent here, how have you been the last few hours, Laura? And I personally think you should get some mods at least for spam. I do have moderators from my Patreons. I think they are sleeping right now. It's okay. I mean, the real world is tough. That's the thing. Even though I can get the moderators and cut them all out, but that's not the real world, right? It's almost in the university something that I exactly opposed, where when they talk about trigger warnings and creating a safe space, nobody hurts your feelings. And I don't believe in that, because your feelings gonna get hurt, and that's the nature of life. There are people gonna misunderstand you, use you, and hurt you. And what I'm trying to do is, instead of me not being exposed to those trolls, but I grow my resilience. And what doesn't affect me is that as long as I know my own path, I know my own truth, and I know where I find my meaning in life, everything's bearable, right? Like Viktor Frankl talks about, the man searching for meaning, right? Anybody who has a meaning to live, they can bear anything in life. And that's why I'm okay, even though I sometimes get worked up a little bit about it, but I'm okay. And that's the thing, I hope that in America we started doing that, promoting people to be resilient, not the bubble wrapping them and not exposing them to the real world. So idol forever, so I'm from Canada, and I've always wondered if America is enemy number one, are we viewed as enemy number two, Laura? That's a funny question. I mean, Canada is pretty much going into socialism, so I think they might become allies soon, no? Not the people, but the Canadian government is pretty interesting right now. So North Korea doesn't hate Canada that much. I didn't even know what Canada was when I was there. But North Korea thinks of UK better than US. They really hate the US the most. And they hate the Western world though in general, but they don't like hate Canada specifically. So David McCoins, I say, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. So Sarma, could you share some of your happiest moments in North Korea? Love from Canada. Oh wow, a lot of Canadian love tonight. I love it. Happiest moments. I mean, words all about how you define hope, like happy. As long as I remember being in North Korea, there wasn't even a second that I wasn't worried about surviving. Like, it was very clear to me that I would die easily from starvation or disease, or like government arrest your parents and get, collectively like punished. But I'm sure there's a slight single moment I forgot and playing with my friends. But I don't think we don't even know what happy is, right? Nobody asked you, are you happy? And that's why when I was reading the U.S. Constitution, right, like the pursuit of happiness, that we have a right to be happy. And yeah, I think that was amusing to me. There was a constitution that worried about individuals' happiness, but I don't think I was ever truly been happy in that country. Yeah, that's a tricky question. So here, deep appreciation for what you're doing. I usually avoid political involvement, but your message has inspired me to talk to others about North Korea and the CCP. Love from Vancouver Island. So wow, a lot of Canada. I love Vancouver. So Brad, why does China capture North Korean defectors and repatriate them to North Korea? That was a treaty that North Korea and China made. So North Korea complained to China that if the North Korean defectors escape and then speak the word out, right? Like me speaking out, telling the world what kind of horror is happening inside the country. So they thought like we were the national security threat. That's what North Korean regime defined the defectors. They are the national security threat. So they asked China to capture them back. And China, of course, doesn't want North Korea to collapse. Imagine 1 million of North Koreans escaped and found freedom in the South, right? That would be really destabilize the country. So that's why China does that. And not only that, they gain something from capturing North Korean defectors. And I don't know why China needs that. They need a lot of this wood, like jungle wood. So North Korea cuts down all this wood in their mountains and then give these two trucks to China when they send the defectors back. So China gets some economic gain, and also they had this treaty over defectors in the 70s, and China determined to help out Kims to get the defectors back. And even though, of course, we are protected under the Geneva Convention, and we are not refugees, right? We are defectors. We are political refugees. And of course, they just, break every international law that you can ever imagine. So Wolfgang, I got my signed book copy. Yeonmi, thanks for being awesome to freedom. Thank you. I know, guys, I finally got my hard copies. Oh my gosh, this thing took forever. I cried, I begged, I prayed, because did you know the supply chain issue right now happening? So I've been having this fantastic discussion with a friend in the publishing industry. So basically now there are not many printing machines actually operating. And when the Michelle Obama book came out, her book ate every printing paper and machine. So even though there is a demand for the book, publishing companies prioritize certain books because there's supply chain issue. So my book didn't make it to that priority list. So while they're printing like Obama's and Michelle Obama's book, this book doesn't get reprinted, even though there is a demand. You would think if people want to read it, they would print, right? But no. It's not, it doesn't work like that. So thankfully I got the supply. So thank you for being patient, and so sorry about it's been taking so long to send the signed copies, but it's been all being signed tonight and going over today and yes, tomorrow. Anyway, so here, the dream by day. Would love if you were able to do a reaction video to My Brothers and Sisters in the North. It's a fantastic documentary, but your commentary on top of it would be amazing. Okay, I'm gonna take the picture of that as well, and then Where is this My Brothers and Sisters in the North? Is that Netflix show? I will definitely look at that. So all the timer, what are your thoughts on our southern border? I mean, it's very upsetting. I mean, I feel so sorry for the people who live in Texas. I mean, this government does not protect its own people. I mean, that's the thing, like, as a refugee, I know how hard it is, but they are not fleeing Kim Jong-un, right? These people, some people, I'm sure, fleeing a real dangerous situation, but then there's a legal channel in America that you can come through. And instead, American government should fix the legal immigration process, where they need to make it quick, they need to make it efficient. And as you guys know, I applied to be a citizen in this country this April. Now it's October. I still haven't heard back from them. And I asked my attorney how long it takes to hear back from them. It takes at least 8 months to 11 months, not to hear the decision, to hear that they got my documents. Then it takes another 7 months for me to do the interview and schedule. So it takes a year and a half for me to become a citizen from after 5 years of green card hold. So this bureaucracy is unbelievable. And I came to America as a legal person who paid the taxes. But the thing is, that's what we need to focusing on. And we have a rule of law. I think that's what it is. It's just now in America, it just seems like there's no rule of law, right? Like in Chicago, you murder people, you steal things, and you loot things, you don't get punished, right? There's nothing comes for them. So it's interesting how everything is being attacked in current America. And I think this is what scares me the most, is that I was reading this book called Irreversible Damage. I really hope you guys check that out book. And right, like it's almost like a dictator's handbook. They go after everything that we have built. Right now they say there's no more difference between men and women, and there's like science being questioned, rule of law being questioned, the foundation being questioned, everything being questioned. And everybody's confused, everybody get upset. And our enemy is getting stronger every day. So actually, so I say, how are people able to use the flash drives that are smuggled into North Korea? So that's a good question actually. That's the USB drives, we contain them with the foreign information and then give it to North Korean people. And of course, by getting caught watching it, sometimes it's the execution, it's the price is so high for North Korean people to gain them. But the thing is, North Korean people are willing to take that risk. And one way how we do it is that, I mean, I cannot talk about the tactics here, but that thing has a huge impact. And that's why Kim Jong-un is very afraid of truth. And a lot of foreign information is sipping it through the country. Hopefully that brings some change. So Brent, did you like Shrek? What other classic movies do you plan on watching? I'd recommend The Fox and The Hound. There's so much for me to catch up with American pop culture. So the other day I watched The Shrek. And last month I watched The Matrix. So, I'm a big, gigantic adult that does not know much about American pop culture. So, keep telling me, no, this is amazing shows. So I know how to catch up. So, Greg, thank you. Yeonmi, you should really listen to aespa's Black Mamba, Next Level, and their new album, Savage. Okay. I'm gonna take a picture of that and then see what that is too. I have no idea what bands. I know Beatles. Now I know Michael Jackson because I heard he's huge like celebrity. But I do have to catch up with all this pop culture. Let's see. Sorry guys, these questions are going up so fast. Let's see. Okay. So Brett's a question. Japanese attitude towards North Korean defectors. Their attitude towards North Korean defectors are warmer than from South Koreans' attitude. In some bizarre way, South Korea has the harshest, toughest discrimination against North Korean defectors. And Japan, actually, I was there. My book got out in Japan. They were very warm, and the also reason is that Japan is a direct threat from North Korea, right? North Korea missile can reach Japan so easily, and every time when they do the test, it's going through Japanese direction. So Japan is so in trouble. I mean, they are threatened by China. I mean, that's their biggest enemy right now, and North Korea. All these trouble makers are right next door to Japan. So I feel horrible for Japan, actually. Such a beautiful country, such amazing people, and all these bad dictators next to them keep threatening them. So I even though they colonized us, but the current Japanese people are not responsible for it, right? Like, this is so funny to me. Like, even though we were equally colonized by Japan and they raped our women, there was like comfort to women by Japanese soldiers, we don't really blame the current generation for what happened. But in America, it's like still we are doing this thing called like guilt, white guilt, white privilege thing. So it's quite unique. So Dr. Purpanda, so Yeonmi, do you think international sanctions against North Korea are effective? How can other countries best show their solidarity through policy? Yes, yeah, there's a lot of socialists not gonna like it. The sanctions against North Korea is very, very effective. That's how Trump made Kim Jong-un come out to the table to talk. Trump had unbelievable strong sanctions, and North Korea were so desperate they couldn't survive. So they were like, okay, we are coming to the table. We are willing to talk to you. How can we relieve sanctions, right? And of course, like, all they were trying to do was actually buying time with Trump. And now Biden came in, and they know Biden is very weak. Even though Biden is willing to talk to North Korea diplomatically and having a discussion, North Korea is not into it. It's pathetic, like the American president, the most powerful country in this world, is begging to talk to this horrible dictator, and he's begging for attention, begging for the call to be returned. And this is another thing that so upsets me, is how weak America became. Like, there's Taliban and North Korean regime and Chinese regime. This is a time when you show strength as a leader of this country. But there's no strength is shown by the American government. Even this time, China clearly threatens Taiwan. Taiwan is our ally, and America is not standing up. This is a thing, like, I mean, who's gonna trust America from now on? Like, trust takes time. It takes time to build a trust. And we have a lot of other countries, and America was able to be respected from all other countries in the past because we kept our words. We stood for freedom. We stood for righteousness. And right now, current America does not stand up for anything in the international world. So now America is like strategic silence. That's what they call. North Korea, Obama had this policy called strategic patience, which means whatever North Korea does, however test they do, however they're threatening our ally Japan, we are strategically doing nothing about it, right? That's what Obama did. And then letting Trump say, okay, North Korea is gonna be the biggest threat that you're gonna have in your administration. And then he said goodbye to Trump. And at least Trump did try to do something about it. And right now, I mean, Biden did the exact same thing that Obama did. They re-adopted this policy called strategic patience, and which means doing nothing, right? While North Korea is getting stronger and stronger. And when it comes to Taiwan, they are doing the exact same thing called strategic silence. That's not being strategic. That means they are being coward. So I don't know what you guys are thinking about it, but it's so disappointing. This country does not show any strength to the mob and to the gangsters. I mean, then if America cannot stand up for their values, then who's gonna be able to do that, right? It's such a sad time to even be alive, like where so many weak people are running countries and not standing for anything that is, that is noble. Yeah, so anyways, I've been trying to keep my sanity, but it's been tough. So let's see more questions, guys, here. I've been missing so many questions. Wow. Its questions go so fast up. It's almost like it's automation. The media has been sabotaged by the left and everyone is afraid of being canceled. Philip, yes. This cancer culture is eating us alive because of this little, this is something that I recently understood about Americans, right? So guys, in North Korea, there is two types of dictatorship. One is a physical dictatorship. So in America, people just think as long as the government doesn't lock you down physically, you are free. But they don't understand what emotional dictatorship is. This is what North Korea understood. There's two types of the people you can control. One is physically, we lock them down in the country, we don't give them freedom of movement. And second, dictatorship is way more important. That one is emotional dictatorship. They are brainwashing you. You are not free to think. And in America right now, I meet everybody and ask them, do you censor yourself? They say yes. I haven't met any single person that told me they don't censor themselves. That's how the emotional dictatorship begins. In America, there are people physically free, but so many people are not free emotionally. They are enslaved to so many different ideology, and they are fearful. So as much I do not think that America is North Korea, I see so many signs that I saw in North Korea is happening in America here. And the fact that I'm constantly dealing with the tech censorship, it's remarkable that I never thought in my lifetime I had to fight for my freedom of speech in America. And apparently I am right now doing the exact same thing. So let's see some questions here. Is China going to invade Taiwan? Bob asked. So, is China going to invade Taiwan? They are at least, trying it, right? And I think because China is economically slave everybody right now, like Africa, Middle East, so many Southern Asian countries, even South Korea, economically so heavily depend on China. They have to listen to China, and even American Hollywood, the American sports, corporation, academia, we are all relying on China. So I think that would be the most. Taiwanese economy is also heavily subsidized by mainland China. They buy a lot of things from Taiwan. So I think at this point anything is possible. Gradually China is making Taiwanese comfortable with the idea of threat from China, and I do think it's their core goal to take them. So Omar asked, don't compare us to North Korea. I know I don't want to. That's why you guys gotta help me. It's pretty horrible that we have things called cancel culture in this country. It's pretty horrible. People losing jobs for having ideas, having thoughts, and having opinions. What I am fighting for right now is that I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying you should listen to me on anything, right? I have a right to be wrong. This is the thing. In this country right now, you have no right to be wrong. And especially in university classrooms, that is a time when you should admit that you are ignorant, that you don't know things, you admit your mistakes, and being open-minded and open up yourself and exchange ideas. But in this country right now, you cannot do that. If you make one mistake, they come after you. So that is the thing. Nobody should know everything. That's not what I'm fighting for. It's just the fact that I cannot be wrong. I don't have the right to be wrong. That's what bothers me a lot. And for us to move forward as a civilization, the only thing that helps us is we let the ideas compete with each other. not the diversity of colors, skin colors, but diversity of thoughts. So let the best ideas compete with each other and let them win, right? If your idea is good, what are you even afraid of? That's the thing, like with communists and socialists, these mobs, they know they are the manipulators, they are the liars. That's why they are so afraid of someone challenging them. And if you know what you're saying is truth, you should be okay debating anybody you want. And that's why it's just so sad. Like they just get emotional and they started calling you are a racist, you are a bigot, and calling you just names and cry and shut down. And so this is the thing. Like I've been reading this American Marxism and the other books. It's interesting what American Marxism, American socialism is so unique, right? At least when Marx wrote that, Lenin wrote that, the workers were actually working 80, 90, 120 hours a week, working with when the industrial revolution happening, they were so hard like slaves. They didn't have human rights. And back then, all these workers wanted they were actually caring about these workers in some ways. Of course, they were wrong. How the hell those workers was going to have a free market, and that's what free market helped people from the poverty, right? They enriched the people. But current American Marxism and socialism is completely based on entitlement and completely based on laziness. They are jealous of rich people. Like they don't care how those rich people got rich. They're like, why are you rich? Why am I poor? And when they are poor, they are not finding reason within themselves, like pointing at every single other people, because of this you got rich, because of this you got rich. They take zero self-responsibility. I've never seen people who are this well off, have this much opportunity, this much resources, are this much bitter. I don't know, it's like also almost like a human nature or something, that I guess, nothing is enough for those people. And this American Marxism is like unbelievable. Like right now, there are 4 billion people, guys, are not free. 4 billion people. Look at even China, 1.4 billion people have social credit system. They are being watched from their government. They cannot talk about Xi Jinping. They cannot even use a poo or mouse, those kind of emojis, right? And being free in this 21st century, you are being in a minority. And these people having this rare opportunity, like we never been free as individuals, having this unbelievable rare opportunity, and all they are talking about is their feelings and blaming other people. So Melala, hi, good to see you. So weak leadership and internal strife emboldens our enemies. What is the solution to this, Yeonmi? Sometimes I think freedom of speech should include slapping the stupid out of people. Yeah, I literally, it really worries me. Like when I was at least escaping, right, going through all of that journey, at least I had a hope. There was a free country that called the South Korea existed. Like I had somewhere to go. But now being in America, like the saddest part about all of this is the sanity of people going crazy and being so entitled and so spoiled and lost complete perspective of what they have and what other people are going through in this world. Is that I don't know where to go if America falls down. No place to go. This is literally the last place that we have hope. And I think that's the thing. Like we have to just fight. I think we have to continue to fight this mob. It's as much as I'm a pro business that the big tech monopoly in this country is a threat to our democracy, is a threat to our republic. And we need to keep telling our children the right values and fighting in the school boardrooms, and we just have to keep fighting. And the only thing with the conservatives and libertarians is that, like, okay, as long as you don't bother me, I'm gonna do my own thing, right? That's their attitude. But that's not enough. Like, this is the biggest difference between socialists and the conservatives or libertarians. Like socialists want to conform you. You gotta comply with their orders, and they don't leave you alone. And And conservatives are just leave me alone. As long as you don't come harm me and take my private property, I'm not gonna fight you. You just be you. But be you to the socialist means, be you to communist means, they are complete this poisonous ideology that infects every factor in our country. Like when you do not say the communist is evil, it like baffles me. How can be something, if Nazi was evil, why communism is not evil? It killed more people than Nazi did. Like why the children in school not learning how evil communism is? Like that thing should be something completely being fixed in America right now. We need to call it out as what it is. Like when the communists came, right? Like they checked people, like if they were wearing glasses, and they were like, "Oh, you're intellectual," so they killed you. They checked your hand, and if your hand were soft, they said, "Okay, you're academic, you're intellectual, you didn't work in the field, you're not oppressed." They kill you. This is the people we are talking about. They were as evil as like Holocaust, and North Korean regime is as worse as Hitler has been, and the children in America have no clue what communism even means. They think it's just something nice thing people do, and of course when the education fails, of course what do you expect? You're gonna have this completely lost generation having no clue about real world. And so it's harmful. Hey, I mean, are you nervous about North Korean people falling prey to the unfortunate stuff of democracy like drugs, gambling, etc. if North Korean regime falls? So if North Korean regime falls, am I gonna be worrying about drugs, gambling? Well, believe it or not, North Korea is so corrupt. You cannot imagine how corrupt that country is. Actually, the things that I cannot even talk about, because I mean YouTube gonna of course like censor that obviously. But North Korea regime asking people to plant opioids and asking people to make the crystal meth. So they used to actually, Kim Jong-un used to give out this thing called ice, I think it's a crystal meth, to even officials. So these people would not sleep and stay up for 2 days for the emergency meetings. So country is so corrupt that nothing that we have here we think is a corruption gonna scare North Koreans. They are living in one of the most corrupt countries. If you look at the corruption index, North Korea is in the bottom. They have one of the most corrupt countries in the world. So when people say, "Oh, capitalism takes humanity away," I'm like, well, if you live in a communism, you don't even know what humanity is. They don't even teach you what humanity is. So yeah, North Korea has so much corruption. I mean, thieves, crime. There's no rule of law there. Like all you need is a connection to the party. Like there's no sexual assault. Like you just have no idea what women go through. Like, so join me guys on my Locals. I do also live there on Locals. It's found by Dave Rubin. They do not have any censorship, so I can talk about all those details to you. And yeah, so and also it's great to support the platform that's support First Amendment. So I hope you guys join me on the Locals after this tonight. Let's see. Wow, this chat is on fire tonight, guys. So M5M. So hey, Miss Park, have you ever heard of Shen Yun? They already performed in Chicago this year, but I really like their production. I saw their promotion things about those Chinese traditional dances, right? But I haven't been to the in-person. It looked amazing. So Nikita, Yeonmi, have you watched them more? Infiltrating North Korea? What did you think about it? Yes, I have watched the documentary. I actually got into the person who actually was a main character there. It's exactly right. North Korean regime is the one who is importing there and exporting nuclear strategy to Iran, Syria, Pakistan. They sell all these missiles to the dictators. They are willing to do anything for money. So if there's a real threat to humanity, North Korea is one of them. When these people talk about like how climate change is gonna kill us all, I'm like, what a first world problem to think about, I don't know enough about denying it or believing in it, but just given how much people are upset about climate change, It makes no sense how none of these people worrying about the threat that North Korea is causing to the rest of the world. Before the climate change kill us all, North Korea's nukes might kill us all. So it's almost this priority is so switched, and it's in a way the first world problem, right? You only can afford to care about climate change when your stomach is full. And these people have no idea what a threat North Korea is to the rest of the humanity, and keep saying, North Korea is not a threat, China is not a threat. So sweet 86, thank you so much. I know, guys, it's late. Let's do 3 more questions tonight. I love seeing you, and thank you for joining me this late tonight. If you haven't watched the Squid Game, I recommend you to watch it. And let's see. What shall we answer? Okay. So are there ever days where you just feel like just giving up? Yeah. Not every day, but it was hard for me to wake up this morning. Yeah, there are days it's tough because but then, like, I learned how to even trick myself. Like, it's a discipline, right? Like, I could rather let's go to therapist and get a lot of pills and taking the pills and start feeling good. But it is normal to fear hopelessness and fear pain in life, right? That's a part of living a life. And this is what saddens me with American education, is at least they keep telling children, oh, you should never get triggered. There should be a safe space. Nobody should make you feel uncomfortable. And when you get bubble wrapped throughout the school year and going to the university, when they come out, right, anything triggers them. They cannot deal with anything in life. And whenever I fear those feelings, I rationalize it. It's a part of being a human. It's part of living this life. And these days I find a lot of strength in God. And in the past I used to be atheist, so it was harder to deal with the hard days back then. And it's a thing, like, even though there's no scientific way to prove God is there or not, I'm not gonna even engage that. It's when you choose to believe, right? Like, when I was talking to Dennis Prager, he says, what is happiness, right? Like, a lot of people think happiness is coming from maybe having good relationships, having a good job, maybe having a lot of money, or having a lot of prestige or fame. But happiness is choice. That's it. That's how simple it is. Like, it's a choice. It's right there for you if you choose to be happy. And that's the thing, like, always I try to look into myself instead I get up and blaming why people are so mean, why the dictators are horrible, why nobody cares about, like, my people, why so many people are doing this. But I choose to internally see why I feel this way. And it's nobody's fault that I feel hopeless when I get up and I feel sad, right? It's my job to make myself feel good. It's nobody's job to do that. It's no medicine should make me feel that. Nobody's job. So when you believe in yourself that you are the only person who can make yourself happy, you are the only person who can make yourself feel joyful, I think once I did that switch, it's been easier, and I still maintained my day with a lot of progress. So I know you gotta fight. Life is not easy, that's for sure. Like, even in freedom, there are challenges that you need to face every single day. But life is meaningful because when you have that meaning, when you have that mission, it's a meaningful thing that you do. But I do completely agree that I keep telling, like, my friends that, I'm so glad I do get to life do once. I'm so glad I don't need to do this again. Once was more than enough. So I'm trying to make the best out of it. I hope that made sense, guys. So Jeff, would you like to talk to Sam Harris about how psychedelic drugs can allow us to love each other and how religion can be used for oppression? Yes, I used to follow Sam Harris a lot. I actually met Sam at TED. I spoke at TED in 2019, and he was like right next to me at a dinner. And his wife is also she's like neurology, some expert. I used to be atheist, honestly, God, because I did meet some believers who were not good, who did not give me a good impression. But the thing is, at that point, that nobody's perfect, that I should not judge God based on the believers, right? The relationship with me and between God or any higher power or any natural thing is like my relationship with them. And I'm not talking about religion in any dogmatic way. There can be a lot of religion that is oppressive, especially Islam, right? I have to say that, guys. I as much as I like to care about my life and to not try to create any more enemies, guys. Like, think about my enemies right now: North Koreans, Chinese, and the woke, and the Maoists, Leninists, Marxists, Socialists, Communists. I mean, like, you have no idea how many enemies I got right now. But I do agree there are religions are harmful and need to be civilized, need to go through modernization. I agree with that. But the thing is, I think Jordan Peterson brought me back to God, and I became a lot peaceful. But it's my way. Nobody need to follow my way. And that's the thing. Like, it's your choice again, right? You were born in this universe, in the vast, vast black hole, in this dark, dark universe. You're born this tiny little being who is so hopeless. Everything is out of your control. And then you're just born accidentally. Nobody cares about you. Nobody loves you. And you just came here by a chance. That's not that great feeling to think that way. But in this vast, vast dark universe, there was a creator who loves you. There's a reason why you're born. There's a reason why you gave all these tools and opportunities and circumstances, and there's something that you need to do meaningfully, and there's somebody cares about you, loves you. And if you choose to believe that, it can be helpful. And especially, like, I make sure that my son goes to church. Isn't not because I want him to be complete crazy, this kind of Christian, but because at least he deserves opportunity to have a relationship with a creator, with a superpower. And it's up to him when he's adult that he wants to be with God or not being with God, being an atheist and being super smart like Sam Harris. He can do that. So at least it's my responsibility to expose him to that, at least, right? So that's what I'm doing. And there's no right answer to have a meaningful life. That's the thing. I agree with Sam Harris. I agree with a lot of atheists. I'm good friends with believers and non-believers. Is that if you somehow find a way to have a life and make a peace with life that is very cruel sometimes, right? Like, the toughness of life, you can make a peace with that. It's okay. That's your chance. And yeah, at least that's what I'm doing. So I don't know. It's it's a bit complicated, but about psychedelics, I can comment on that. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I read this book called How to Change Your Mind by Mike Nollins. Is that right? And there's a lot of potential. I personally, though, don't believe in taking drugs. I mean, you can do it like once in like year or once in like 5 years as a therapy, but I don't believe in like taking drugs like very often, like very regular way, because it's I don't know, it's a I just see in America, a lot of people just think there is a solution for everything. And as soon as they feel a little bit uncomfortable, they go to therapists and they get the medicine and get the pills and make themselves feel better. And there is a necessity of feeling a pain in life. So that's the thing, is that being in pain is a part of being alive. And if you try your best not to feel and those pain, in a way, you are not really living fully. So I do. And I mean, honest God, my mom takes this pills, my sister takes these pills. It's helping them incredibly, and they're very happy about it. I have zero things against people who takes it, but just personally, I chose this path, and I will let you know how it goes. Maybe after all these maps, guys, maybe after I do one more year of YouTube, I will need those pills. Who knows? But I hope not, though. So Cheap Mirrors, God bless you, Jesus loves you. Thank you for using your platform for good. Your fellow Chicagoan is praying for you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are so wonderful. I know it's joining my life is not easy, right? There's a lot of trolleys, a lot of people, but you know, this is a real world that we are living in. There's a lot of people who have different opinions and different feelings. They all have different truth, and only way we can sort this through is letting everyone speak. And that's why I am trying to at least do that with my life, to let everyone speak. Even though some of them I don't engage with them, but at least I like let them speak. So guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I missed you so much for the last 2 weeks. I'm so grateful to be back and started working on the contents to, you know, helping the people who are oppressed. And as I keep saying, you are in the minority. Being free is a very rare thing for any individual, right? It's being free is not a like a condition that everyone gets. I know that you guys are not taking your freedom for granted. Thank you for fighting with me for these people who are oppressed, for these people who doesn't have a voice. Without your support, I can never do this. Thank you, my Patreons. If you haven't joined my Patreons, please join it today and join the locals so we can support the platforms that promotes freedom of speech. And sorry about the hardcovers. If you haven't ordered it, please order it now before the holidays. And everybody who hates me and loves me here, I love you all. God bless you. We need a lot of mercy and love right now. So let's choose love and let's choose bright side always. So love you guys. Have a wonderful night. See you soon. Bye. Good night. Good night.